social media is destroying everyone. And it's probably not in the way you might think. I remember talking to my friend, and he was saying, when I get rich, I want to get a private jet and 5 houses, you know, the whole Kim Kardashian lifestyle. And I had the privilege of watching that show a number of times, because he watched it, and we were roommates, so I watched it too. One of the episodes stood out to me. One of those sisters was like, I never thought, and she said this, I swear to you, she says, I thought I'd be further along by now. And I'm thinking to myself, you thought that? And that's kind of when I partially realized that the dream isn't all of it that it's cracked up to be. And I listened to it in a Macklemore song. He's basically said, and I got everything that I wanted, but it didn't feel the same as when I dreamed of it on that back porch. So he's basically saying that before he was a famous rapper, he was dreaming about being a famous rapper. And he dreamed that it would be a certain way, and then when he got it, it wasn't that way. I think the worst part about social media is it feeds you a dream. It feeds you a fantasy. And you get addicted to the fantasy. Keeps getting more elaborate. The pornography, now they got the AI stuff now, and you can basically make your own AI porn. The VR headset stuff, they got the sex dolls coming out. The fantasy is endless. You can just sit there and just look at the world, the volcanoes and stuff that, you know, that I see every day, that I have to travel to the waterfall. I have to actually travel to the island to see it, to experience it in reality. You realize, like, when you're chronically addicted to your phone, which these phones are really good, these algorithms are brilliant at making you addicted to this stuff. Over time, your nervous system adapts to the dopamine from the illusion, from the fantasy. And then as you become more addicted to it, what ends up happening is you are bored with real life. You no longer want to get on a plane and go see that volcano in Asia or in Mexico, or that beach, that exotic beach in Bali. You no longer desire to go see that. Why? Because you can just sit on your phone and look at it. And you're not addicted to living. You lose your lust for life. And what ends up replacing it is you're just trying to chase the next swipe. So you go from living in reality, and reality has its own pace. It's on its own speed. You know, it's not rushed, right? A tree is not rushing to do anything. And it can appear very bored to someone who's addicted to their phone. But you go from loving life and loving reality to then just craving the next hit of dopamine. And over time, as the algorithms get more advanced, they're starting to augment reality now. They got videos of puppies morphing into ice cream sandwiches. But I don't advise anyone watching that. They're starting to mess with reality. They're starting to change it. They're starting to distort reality, and that's never going to end well. Because then, could you imagine if in the future when they create an AI that's so advanced, you can just build your own reality. You can just sit in a VR headset, and whatever you want, you can just, whatever demented thing you can imagine. Like, can you just imagine how crazy people are going to get? Like, can you just imagine how far gone people are going to get? Why come out of the video game? Why put the video game down? Why put the phone down? Why go live life? Why fall in love? Why have a life at all? Why not just sit on a computer? Why not just sit on a phone and scroll and just waste your life away? And that's exactly where it's headed. And you can look at someone objectively. If you were to look at someone and just see them sitting on their phone on a couch just wasting away, you would conclude that that's a sad life if someone were to live their entire life like that. and never be really fully present and never really fully engage with life. And every time they're at a concert or a sunset or somewhere beautiful, they have to pull out their phone and snap it. You would conclude that's kind of sad. Yet that's where everyone in the world is at. Everyone's on their phones, and no one is really fully present or fully aware of what's happening. They're addicted to they're not addicted to experiencing life. They're addicted to telling other people about what they are experiencing. They're addicted to telling the story about it, but they're not addicted to experiencing it themselves. If you want to read a book about how fascinating this is, read The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. And he tackles this exact thing. And mind you, he came before, he wrote, I think he was a British writer during World War II, wrote Chronicles of Narnia, but I think The Great Divorce is a brilliant book. And I'll just kind of explain to you how it kind of, I guess, forewarns us of this, in the book, the ghost of hell gets to go and travel to heaven. And in heaven, he's a painter in hell. In his former life, he was a painter. And when he gets to heaven, he sees it for the first time. And there is a solid person that's kind of his mentor and guiding him along in this to show him heaven for the first time. He's never seen it. He was in hell. But he didn't know he was in hell. Funny enough, he was in Greytown, which is hell. But anyway, he gets there, the painter gets there, and he sees it for the first time. And he says, I need to paint this. And he gets out his paintbrush, and he starts painting it. He's like, oh my gosh, when I bring this back to Greytown, they're going to think this is beautiful. I'm going to be such a famous painter. I just can't wait to show this to the people in hell. Because they're going to get a piece of heaven, and they're going to be fascinated with it, and I'm going to be famous because of it. This is how insane this is, but you know, the story is going somewhere. It's insane because that's what everyone's doing now. But the solid person from heaven was like, wait a minute, this is this is absurd, dude. Like, you're from hell, you're looking at heaven, and you're more obsessed about painting it and how you can paint it, and that making you more famous than hell. That's insane, right? He doesn't say it like that, but basically what he says is, no, you must first learn to see it. He's like, I am seeing it. I know what I'm seeing. He's not seeing it. He's only seeing what his ego wants to make of it. And that's when I read that for the first time, I was like, that same exact thing happened to me with music. When I was a kid, I first learned a guitar because I loved it. I learned to do it because I loved it. I was passionate about it. I would sit and play and write music for hours just because I loved it, for the love of it. To do it because it's fun, and it's good to do so because you love it and there's no other motivation behind it. When you're a kid, you're pure. Your intentions are pure. That's how kids operate, right? I remember as kids, we played in the street till the street lights came on. There's no reason other than just have fun. But that gets beat out of you when you become an adult. Everything has a motive. Everything has an intention. You can't just do something for the sake of it. Everything has to be structured and going to be productive. And, that whole play, it gets beat out of you. And so that happened with me with music, that I stopped being able to being able to see it for the love of it. And I was only concerned about how music could make me look, elevate me and my glory. And I remember when I read The Great Divorce, I was like, I'm the painter. What if I were to experience heavenly sounds? I would want to tell about it so that I could receive some sort of glory and fame from it. And when I look around and I see social media, I see everyone falling for that same trap. No one wants to be fully present. People are only concerned about how they will look to other people. Everyone wants to be famous now. Everyone wants to have their moment in the spotlight, in their glory now. And That's what everyone's chasing. No one's really connected anymore. People are connected to their phones, but they're not connected to anyone. You can't have I think I'll say it like this because I don't know. There was a time when a handshake meant something. Right? There was a time when, in a handshake, you think about it, you have to be in a physical proximity to a person to have a handshake. Right? Back in my day, we did things with a handshake. There's something to that. Eye-to-eye contact. You trusted that person trusted you. That's completely gone now. Completely gone. No one trusts anyone anymore. Things aren't done on a handshake. You need contracts and lawyers and all that stuff. And that's exactly where the social media is taking us. We're becoming more disconnected from reality, from ourselves, from other people. And we're no longer concerned with seeing heaven. We are only concerned with how we can share that with the world. And I see it when I go to a waterfall and I see the foreigners come down. The foreigners, it's worse with the foreigners. But I've learned to put the phone down and go play in the waterfall like a kid again. It's amazing. It's amazing. I suggest you do it. Or go snorkel diving, or go and just cliff jump. And not need to post it, but just experience it for yourself. Carry that memory with you. And when you do that, you can begin to unprogram your mind. It takes time. And you have to ask yourself, would I want to go to this exotic beach if I couldn't bring my phone and I couldn't swipe and I couldn't Instagram it? Would I still go? If the answer is no, you have a big problem. If you can put your phone down and just go live life and not need to tell the world about it, you still have hope. There's still a sparkle. There's still something about it. But most people, if you couldn't do that without telling everyone, you have to ask yourself, that's a red flag, right? I think so. So, what is the solution? Well, obviously it's to get off your phones, get off social media. But I think the addiction is way too strong at this point. I've seen addictions in people, and I've seen when it actually takes hold. And I think social media and phone addiction has taken hold to a point where I don't think it's even possible for people to put their phones down. I don't think it's possible for society to wake up from the collective illusion. So I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, if you like this video, smash the subscribe button so it gets shared with other people. It helps the algorithm. And make sure to comment. What do you think? Let me know. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.